Hello guys, it's Reagan, and today I am talking about a sensitive but important topic, and that is pandemic prepping. Being prepared for any situation is something that is near and dear to my heart. I take it very seriously. I love to learn more about these topics as well as educating other people, including my family and my friends, and that is the purpose for this video. Today I'm going to be talking about pandemic prepping. What is pandemic prepping? What is the difference between pandemic and disaster prepping? Why should I be pandemic prepping? And how do I start realistically and cost effectively? This is my dog, by the way. If you see him wandering around, he's being a little turkey, but it's fine because we're just gonna cuddle and do this video together. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what is pandemic prepping. There is no actual definition for pandemic prepping, so we're just gonna go by my definition, which is basically being prepared to be isolated for anywhere between 30 and 90 days with limited access to the outside world and its resources and services. Woo! So that means limited access to places that you go frequently, like the grocery store, the bank, the gym, the pharmacy, things like that. Pandemic prepping is basically just being prepared to be quarantined or isolated for an extended period of time. Now, what is the difference between pandemic prepping and emergency disaster preparedness? When I'm preparing for a disaster or even something as simple as a power outage, I am basically limited on the resources that I have. I'm limited on basic needs that my body has to survive, like access to water, food, safety, and shelter, prioritizing comfort completely last, maybe even skipping that completely. While pandemic prepping, during quarantine, I'm gonna be in my house. I know what resources I have in my house, including running water. So you have to think about, okay, well, I have access to water, but do I need to purify it? Do I need to start boiling it? Do I need to start storing it? Now, specifically talking about pandemic prepping, I'm mostly referring to COVID because that's what's going on. But of course, as times change, who knows what's gonna happen? I actually saw some articles on Pinterest about pandemic prepping that were written in January of 2019, so almost 2 years ago. And here we are. So that is the difference between disaster and emergency prepping versus pandemic prepping. Why should you be pandemic prepping? Why should you be prepping for another wave of quarantine? I think we can all just take a moment to go back to this spring when we had the toilet paper crisis of 2020, which I don't know if this was an issue in other countries, but there was no toilet paper. It was nearly impossible to find toilet paper on shelves. Cleaning products were wiped out, hand sanitizer, random things too, every now and then. And then there was this weird phase where you couldn't find canned goods. Oh, that's my dryer. I don't know, that scared me for a second. I apologize. So there were weird products every now and then that would pop up that you couldn't find. I know that people were saying, well, if you do get COVID, make sure that you're taking acetaminophen. Don't take ibuprofen, take acetaminophen. So there was a period where you could not find acetaminophen on the shelves anywhere. It was kind of ridiculous. The reason that you should be pandemic prepping is to avoid another situation like that. I now can say if we were to be given another literally 48-hour notice, because that's what happened last time, we were pretty much told you got 48 hours and then we're kind of shutting down everything, I wouldn't be freaking out. Would I go to the store? Probably, but I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, we need this and we need this and we don't have this. I wouldn't be freaking out about certain products that we pretty much always keep extra of. So let's talk a little bit about how to effectively pandemic prep. How do we do this? How do we go about this realistically and cost effectively? How do we get started? So the biggest tip that I have for anybody who is thinking about preparing for anything is priorities. Making sure you know where your priorities are. One thing that I would suggest is literally going room to room, section to section, closet to cabinet to drawer, and making a list of the items that are necessities, things that you repurchase often, things that you continually are using. So for example, I can go in my kitchen and I can say, all right, so cleaning products, because we have all of our cleaning products in our kitchen. Here's the cleaning products that we repurchase most often, like dish soap and stuff. Laundry detergent, making sure that we have plenty of laundry detergent. Because I am a nurse, I will be continuing to work through any pandemic that comes our way in the future. Please. So having an adequate supply of laundry detergent is pretty important. Making sure that we have plenty of supplies for our dog, food, Treatos, things like that. Paper goods, making sure that we have plenty of paper goods, toilet paper, paper towels, things like that, because I swear if I see one of y'all hoarding toilet paper, no, we're not doing that. We don't do that here. Making sure that you have an adequate supply of pantry foods, easily prepared foods, like just add water foods that don't require a lot of fresh ingredients, as well as freezer foods. People kind of forget about the freezer, but the freezer is important. You can have great frozen vegetables and things like that. You know, toiletries, making sure that you have toiletries, making sure that you have plenty of over-the-counter meds and first aid supplies, things like Tylenol, Benadryl, just basic little things that you use and purchase often that you kind of might overlook. So making a list of priorities is the biggest tip that I can give you. Talking with your family, the people that you live with, about your priorities. Now, you have your list of priorities, so where do you start? I think the first thing after you make a list is making sure that you have adequate storage for your extra products. This has been kind of a struggle for me because we live in a duplex, a rental duplex. We don't have a garage, we don't have a ton of extra storage space, and we also don't have a pantry. So we actually have to use a buffet like piece of furniture as our pantry, as well as some extra pantry overflow in our cleaning closet, which houses our emergency kit. So that's that. So making sure that you have adequate storage for your prepping products, whether that be a separate closet or a shelf in your garage or something like that. Making sure that you have a place to put everything. Now, there's a couple different methods that I'm going to talk about as far as purchasing products goes, ways to be most cost and time effective. So the first is the value pack. What I mean by this is the value pack method is instead of buying one tube of toothpaste, you're buying the value pack of toothpaste. This is gonna be more expensive up front, but you're gonna be saving money over time, and it also means that you have extra product on hand if you were to run out. The second method is very similar. Do not get them confused. This is the value size. So you have the value pack and the value size. What this means is instead of going in and buying 2 small cans of green beans, I'm buying the giant can of green beans. Again, more effective up front, but it's gonna save you more money over time, comparing like if I wanted to buy ketchup. If I buy the bigger bottle of ketchup, it's gonna save me money like per ounce of ketchup, if that makes sense. Now, each of those methods is cost effective. You can literally start doing it now. Like the next time you go to the store, oh my gosh, we're out of toothpaste, buy the value pack. Oh my gosh, we're out of laundry detergent, buy the value size, right? But it depends on the product, what is gonna be better for you, obviously. Me and my husband, it's just the 2 of us. So for us, it's kind of better to buy the value pack because that way things aren't going bad before we can use them. My husband is one of 5 kids, so growing up they had a lot of people in their family. So for them, it would have been more cost effective to buy the value size. It would be better for them to have the large can of green beans because for us, we're not gonna be able to eat a whole large can of green beans in one sitting. So pick which one works best for you, and it might depend on the product and it might depend on the time, but value size versus value pack. How do we prep for anything like budget friendly? First off, go to the cheaper grocery stores. We have so many grocery stores where I live. We typically shop at Dollar Tree and Walmart. Those are gonna be the most cost-effective stores for us. So already just lowering the cost of product in general. We also buy store brand. So because we shop at Walmart, we're buying great value, Equate, and mainstays if you're buying like home products. So the actual Walmart brand product. It can be overwhelming starting like a prepping process, starting your stockpile, like not one of those extreme stockpiles, but just like a legitimate stockpile. It can be overwhelming and it can be very intimidating. So the best thing that I can tell you is start small, start in small sections. One super effective way is just like the weekly budget. Just set aside $5 or $10 each time you go to the store, whether that be twice a week, once a month, whatever. Set aside a budget and use that budget to purchase your products. This can be done a couple of different ways also. For example, I could have my list of priorities and the top thing on that list is water. So I can say this week, when I go to the store, I'm gonna spend $10 on packaged water. Whatever you want to purchase, do that. But I'm gonna prioritize water. Second week, I'm gonna prioritize canned green beans because we eat a lot of green beans in this house, so canned green beans. Third week, I'm gonna prioritize rice. Rice stays good for a super long period of time. So third week, I'm gonna spend $10 on rice. Or you could also kind of just do it more general instead of like specific products. You could say $10 this week for preparation. I'm gonna buy 2 gallon, whatever, bottles of water, 2 large cans of green beans, 2 packages of rice, value pack of toothpaste, and an extra laundry detergent. There you go. So that way you have a plan, you have your priorities, you have your money set aside, like this is how much I'm gonna spend. For me, it is better to kind of purchase sporadically instead of saying like, well, this week is dedicated to this product, especially because we don't have a lot of storage space. So it's just kind of like a little bit here and there is what's gonna be most effective for us. Alright guys, anyways, I hope that this video was somewhat educational, somewhat like useful to you. I am a COVID nurse. I've been doing this since we first started seeing cases in the US. It's really frustrating to see how things are going, and so we are fully prepared for another quarantine, another lockdown. Like I said, last time we had very little notice before that, and so we're just kind of trying to prepare here and there. Every time I go to Walmart, every time I go to Dollar Tree, I'm trying to mentally think through like, you know, what would we need right now if we were to have to go into quarantine again, etc. I would also like to say that if you've made it this far in the video, then I've got a surprise in store, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button, because the surprise is that I'm actually revamping my entire emergency kit series. I will be doing updated versions of those with a new video to top it off, which you guys will be seeing here in a couple of weeks. So make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss those prepping videos and those kit videos, because they're gonna be awesome. Like, I'm already so excited. The prep that I've done and the education that I have gotten and the criticism from the other YouTube videos that I have received has been so amazing. And so I just want to let you guys in on that little secret to make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss those videos in the future. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, please leave them down below. I'm always open to criticism. So yeah, I hope that you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you guys next time.